go. Enjoy, everybody.
Thank you so much, Oklahoma. I'm great to be here. Well, we've had a great day today. I am thrilled to tell all of you, as I told the people of Texas earlier, I am happy to be here and announce that I endorse Donald Trump for President of the United States. America needs a strong leader who's going to restore American strength around the world, and Donald Trump is that man. America needs a strong leader at home to restore jobs and American confidence to our people, and Donald Trump is that man. And the Republican Party needs a leader who will make sure that Hillary Rodham Clinton never gets within 10 miles of the White House. And Donald Trump is that man. I want to tell you, we've had a fun time today. Donald and I were in Fort Worth this morning. Things in Texas are looking really good. And believe me, Ted Cruz is nervous. And now we come here to Oklahoma. We come to Oklahoma full of optimism, not only for the elections on Tuesday, but full of optimism for America's future when we get a strong leader in the White House and not the hand-wringing guy we have in the White House right now. Can you imagine the whiplash? The whiplash that America's enemies are going to feel when they go from a weakling like Barack Obama to a man of strength like Donald Trump. Now, and let's have one more message for someone who's had a pretty big mouth today. Marco Rubio, your campaign is almost over, buddy. Showing a lot of desperation today, throwing punches from every angle, but none of them are landing because America has made their decision. Donald Trump represents strength, and Marco Rubio represents Washington, D.C. We don't need any more D.C. politicians. And so I just want to remind Senator Rubio one thing. He may be confused about this, but President of the United States is not a no-show job like he's treated the United States Senate. We need an executive on the job, and that man is Donald Trump. And so I am proud to be part of the team. I'm proud to be part of the team that is going to restore strength and confidence and faith and hope in our country and its people again. Nothing that has happened in America under Barack Obama is not able to be reversed by having a strong person in the White House to lead us again, and Donald Trump is that man. So we're counting on you. We're counting on you, Oklahoma, when you go to the polls. We need not just a win here. We need a Trump-sized win in Oklahoma, and I think you're going to give it to us. So it is my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to introduce to you the next President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Wow. Hey. Wow, this is great. This is great. Thank you. Unbelievable. We came here, we wanted 4,000 people. They have 7,000 or 8,000 people. Unbelievable results. All over. All over. So we had an amazing experience last night. And I'll tell you what, every single poll, I was being hit from both sides, every single online poll on the debate. Did anybody watch that crazy debate last night? They have us winning by a lot. They have us winning by a lot. Every single poll. And most of the people on television, but some of the pundits, of course, never. No way, no way. But every poll and a lot of the people, we had an amazing time last night. It was very different. These are two desperate people. They're desperate. You know, the one guy in Florida, he's down 20 points, Rubio. And I'll tell you what, they hate him in Florida. They hate him. You know what? He defrauded Florida, if you think about it. He runs, he becomes a senator, he never shows up to vote. He's never around. And they don't like him. He's not doing well. So it was interesting. One of the reasons I love Chris, I was on the stage in New Hampshire, which we won. Remember New Hampshire? We love New Hampshire. And we won South Carolina big. We won by double digits. And a few days ago, we won Nevada, and that was really amazing. So, and big. We're doing great. And we have amazing people. It's a movement. I tell people it's a movement. But I was on the stage in New Hampshire during one of the debates, and I watched a meltdown like I've never seen anything like it. I watched a meltdown like I've never, ever seen. And it was Chris grilling Marco Rubio. This guy was sweating so badly. Oh, he was sweating. Honestly, it was disgusting, all right? And I knew he had a problem because before that, when he was doing a little bit of an address to the president's speech, you remember, and they put him on and he went for the water. Do you remember that during live television? But what I saw, what Chris did to him was incredible. And then last night, I saw him backstage with makeup where he's taking it with a trowel and putting it on. He was soaking wet, and he was out here. And you know, I only say it because honestly, this is not a presidential guy. This is not a presidential guy. He has a situation in Florida where he buys a house. These are our politicians, folks. And he's not the only one, just so you understand. You know, I'm self-funding my campaign. I'm putting in my own money. Okay? I'm putting in my own money. Even though I heard today my father gave me $200 million. Believe me, I would love if he gave me $200 million. Believe me, that is not true. That is way, 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 way off. And I love my father. My father did give me a lot of knowledge, but I wish he gave me $200 million. You know these numbers, where they come from? Well, they come from phony newspapers because these people back here, the media, they are the most dishonest people anywhere that I've ever seen. So today I heard little Marco say the $200 million. Now all of a sudden he was talking about, I got $1 million loan from my father, which I, by the way, paid back. And in the meantime, I've made billions and billions and billions of dollars. So pretty good job. Not many people could do that. So this guy, Rubio, buys a house for $178,000, sells it for $380,000 to a lobbyist. Okay, is the lobbyist in the room, anybody? Is he here? Makes this massive project and is doing legislation for this guy at the same time. Okay, tell me about this, right? Then He's got a credit card problem where he's taking from the Republican Party, having his driveway done, all of this. Why is this not brought out? And from the Republican Party. And the man doing the investigation is furious that they're not listening to him. I think I'll have to get up and interview him. Then he's got a foundation, but he doesn't. A rich guy has a foundation who does a lot of business with Florida. And who's the head of the foundation? Does anybody know? That's right. His wife, for a big salary, big salary. And then he's got a no-show professorship. He never shows up. And all of this, the guy's making a lot of money. And shouldn't be making this money. But all of this, and the state of Florida can't stand him. And I'm up by like 20 points. And we're going to win Florida. We're going to win Florida. Let me tell you. We're going to win it. We're going to win it big league. Now, the other gentleman on the other side, who's actually a smarter guy, I will say this. Smarter than Marco. But he was on the other side, and he's been hitting me left and right, and he's got a problem because we're about tied in Texas. And if I win Texas, that's going to be embarrassing. And if I win Florida, that's going to be embarrassing. You know, how do you beat a sitting senator in Florida? How do you beat a sitting senator in Texas? They could have an embarrassing time. So Tuesday, big day, Tuesday, we have to get out there. They could have a very embarrassing time. I will say this, Marco is very, very weak on immigration, very weak. Come on over, folks, just come on over. Marco is weak, gave amnesty, wants to give amnesty, the Bill of 8. He is very weak. And honestly, Ted is pretty weak on amnesty. He's a little stronger, I have to say. But he's also weak on illegal immigration. And if I didn't come down that escalator and start talking about illegal immigration, it wouldn't even be a subject. We wouldn't even be talking about it right now. Wouldn't even be a subject. Wow. So we have a number of situations that when I made the decision to do this, and I'll never forget it, I'm standing in Trump Tower. The press is downstairs in the building, and it looked like the Academy Awards. And it takes guts, believe me, it takes guts to run for president. Not easy, not easy. I mean, think of it, I'm a non-politician. I've never done this before. So all of a sudden I'm doing it. But I'm doing it because we're going to make America great again. And a politician, all talk, no action, it's not going to happen. These guys, I know them, then it's not going to happen. Can't happen. It's not their thing. For instance, on the border, I love you too, darling. Who said that? Stand up. Let me see. Oh, I love you too. I love you too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. On the border, thank you. What a great group. I love Oklahoma. And word is your football team is going to be pretty good this year, right? Right? That's what the word is. Better be. We'll be rooting for you, but it better be. I think it will. So I came down and I talked about illegal immigration. And did we get a stir from that? And all of a sudden it became a mainstay of everybody. And some were strong and some were weak. And I just got the endorsement, as you know, from Sheriff Joe Arpaio. You can't get. If we're talking about illegal immigration, Sheriff Joe really is he's the best, right? He's the best. And so he endorsed Donald Trump, and that means that my plan is the best, my plan is the strongest. And by the way, we want people to come in. We're going to have a very, very strong border. We are going to build the wall. You know that, right? We're going to build the wall. Mexico is going to pay for the wall. They're going to pay. 100%. 100%. They're going to pay for the wall. And it's going to be a beautiful wall, because someday, maybe when I'm not around, they'll be calling it the Trump wall. So I have to make it further. And people are going to come into our country, but they're going to come in through a process. They're going to come in legally. So the borders became a very big deal. Very, very big. And I seem to be sweeping the polls with the borders because the people are saying they're giving me CNN polls and they're all doing polls. But the borders are big. And now what happens is because of my stance on the borders and because of all the problems we've had, you look at Paris, you look at Los Angeles with the 14 people that were killed, Paris, 130 people that were killed. Because of all of the problems, and now you have the migration, and we have certain politicians that want to bring people in, thousands and thousands of people from the migration. They're not coming here, folks. They're not going to come here. Can't do it. Can't do it. We'll build a safe zone over in Syria. We'll do something. I'll get the Gulf states to pay for it because we have $19 trillion in debt. We can't pay for anything. We can't pay for anything. So it's just not going to happen. Not going to come in. And when they do come in, we have no choice. We have to send them back. We're going to have to send them back. We don't know where they are. We don't know where they come from. We don't know who they are. There's no paperwork. I've gone and spoken to the greatest law enforcement people that we have. There's no way to vet them. There's absolutely no way. So we don't know who they are. You look at what's happening in Germany and Sweden and Denmark and Brussels. We're going to be a smart country, folks. We're not going to be what we've been for the last very long period of time. Very, very long period of time. So I started with the border, and all of a sudden people realized I was right. Tremendous crime. You have Kate in San Francisco who was killed. Kate. You see, in the good old days, law enforcement acted a lot quicker than this. A lot quicker. In the good old days, they'd rip him out of that seat so fast. But today, everybody's politically correct. Our country's going to hell with being politically correct. Going to hell. You know, it is a shame when you think. It is a shame. You see things like that. We had somebody the other day punching, swinging. People want to take it nice and easy. They don't want to do anything. They gently walk him out. When he's walking out, he's waving to everybody, smiling. The place is booing. And in all fairness, I love the police. They're the greatest. But they're afraid to move. They're afraid to move. They want to keep their jobs. They don't want to lose their pensions. I understand. We are really becoming a frightened country, and it's very, very sad. Remember what I said. You know, during the debate, the last one, we were asked a question about waterboarding, and they asked Senator Ted Cruz about it. And he didn't want to get involved with the question. He was sort of a basket case. He didn't want to get involved with it. didn't want to talk about it. And then they looked at me because he didn't want to be, he didn't know exactly. I don't even blame him. But then they looked over at me. Oh, we have another one, folks. Oh. Two people. Two people. And they talked about waterboarding. So we have in the Middle East people that cut off your head. We have people that are chopping off heads of Christians and lots of others, right? We have people that are drowning other people in cages. They're drowning them in heavy steel cages. And what do? They're asking Ted about waterboarding. He doesn't want it. Then they come to me. What do you think of waterboarding? Meaning, isn't it terrible? I said, I think it's just fine. I think it's just fine. And frankly, if you want to go a step above or 2 or 3 steps above, that's okay with me too. And I said that. And I didn't vet that with the political experts. I just said it. Standing ovation. Our country is starving for doing the right thing. And I was saying to myself, can you imagine these people from ISIS and others over there watching our dialogue on waterboarding, which some people consider torture, some people consider not, in any event. Look, it's tough stuff, but the very weakest form, right? Can you imagine these people? They chop off heads and they're watching and they're saying, we can't talk about waterboarding. And so they must think we are so weak and so stupid. So, and honestly, we've got to become a stronger country. We've got to build up our depleted military. Our military is depleted. We've got to knock out ISIS and knock them out soundly and fast. We've got to take care of our vets. Our vets are so great and so important. Our vets are so important. And I'll tell you what. So I came down that escalator with my wife, Melania. And it was about, for me, it was about the borders, it was about trade, it was about the military. And we started talking trade, and we started talking borders, and it resonated. And I've been number 1 in the polls almost right from that first day. Number 1. I've been center stage on every single debate, and that'll continue. Although, I have to tell you. Aren't these debates ridiculous, though? Really. Isn't it ridiculous? They're put up by the networks because, the networks always, it was like a flyer. The networks were forced to have these debates. They didn't do well. They did very poor in the ratings. Now it's like, this is like the Super Bowl of cable television. Last night's did very, very well. Just fantastic numbers. I have to tell you, 4 years ago, they did very badly. I wonder what the difference is, right? We wonder what the difference is. So now we have another one coming up next Thursday, and it just feels so ridiculous that these guys, I did hit that one guy, though, you have to say. Wise guy with this question. But you look at what's going on and you say, why are we doing these debates? What's the purpose? How many times can you say the same thing over and over? I can give you the answers of the governor, the 2 senators. I can give you every single answer. I can also say Ben will complain about not being asked a question, and he's right. It's not fair. But I can give you the answers. It's like they're coming out of your ears. Every time you go, it's the same thing. But I guess, hey, maybe, do you want to do it? How about if I don't do the next debate? Yes? No, I'll do it. But it just does seem like a terrible waste of time. I think it's number 10 or 11 It just never ends. And I think it's a little bit ridiculous. I actually think the networks should make a major payment to the veterans and to the wounded warriors. Because the networks are making an absolute fortune on these. Do you know that CNN and I think Fox, pretty much the same. Thank you, man. I agree. I like that guy. Stand up, stand up. Look, that's my guy. I think they went from like $3,000 for a 30-second ad to $300,000 for a 30-second ad. Think of it. No, think of it. And they make a fortune. They should give the money to the vets, or they should give the money to a good charity. Some of it. They should give some of it. And we're standing there in the same question, same answer, so what are you going to do? Look, it's all in the process. It's the process of getting elected and being able to turn this country around rapidly and beautifully and really do something special. And that's why I'm doing this. I mean, I'm doing it for that reason. It's very simple. So it happened with the borders, and I talked about trade. And the trade is ridiculous. We have countries that you practically never heard of that are making a fortune off the United States. We have countries like China. We have a trade deficit of $500 billion a year. $500 billion. Japan, with all the cars, hundreds of billions of dollars. Mexico, $58 billion. By the way, the reason the wall gets done, the wall's going to cost about $10 to $12 billion, all right? If you're losing, in our case losing, in their case making, on trade, $58 billion, the wall is peanuts. Who the hell couldn't make that deal? I can make that deal. Now, the ex-president, Vincenzi Fox, right? Can you imagine if I used that word? They don't even talk to him. They say he's very angry at Donald Trump. And our vice president today apologized for the way we're all talking. In other words, I thought it was horrible. By the way, even the announcers on one of the networks, they said, this is a little embarrassing. The guy uses the worst of the words right out there, and it won't happen. And you know why he said that and why he was so arrogant in saying it? Because they're so used to getting their way that when they see somebody saying, not going to happen that way anymore, folks, not going to happen. Number one, you're not going to send drugs into our country anymore and pollute our youth. Not going to happen. And this guy was so arrogant when you looked at him. And the way he said the word, it was incredible. I mean, think about me saying that word. It would be, I think it would be the electric chair, okay? Nobody even says about it. Nobody says anything. And now we have Biden go and apologize. He apologized like he was begging Mexico. Now, I like Mexico. The problem is, and the Mexican people are incredible, I have thousands of Hispanics that work for me. Thousands. Thank you, Doug. No, I have thousands. And by the way, you probably saw in Nevada, what happened? I won. Not only did I kill with everybody, but I won with the Hispanics with 46%. I won. I beat everybody. I beat everybody by a lot. So, but I employ thousands of Hispanics. These are incredible people. Over the years, I've employed tens of thousands of people. I'm going to bring jobs back from China, from Japan, from Mexico. We're going to bring them back into this country. I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. That I can tell you. That I can tell you. We're not going to get ripped off anymore, folks. We're not. You know, you look at what's happened last week. Carrier air conditioners. I buy Carrier air conditioners. I buy a lot of different things. Carrier air conditioners. They're leaving. They're leaving. They gave a notice. They're leaving. And somebody had their cell phone camera on. And it was very sad. 1,400 jobs gone, moving to Mexico, right? So I'm a very good business person. That's what I do. I'm a very good business. I built an amazing company. I built an amazing company. And by the way, you know, in the tax returns, you don't learn about a net worth. These people, you know nothing about tax returns with deductions and everything else. I filed my financial disclosure papers. I filed them with the FEC. They are phenomenal. And these guys went down and they were so upset that they were so good, they thought they'd be bad. I filed all of that with them. And it's a phenomenal company. Best buildings, some of the best real estate in the world. Very low debt, very tremendous cash flow. And I say that because we need this kind of thinking in the United States to solve our problems. So, Carrie, I love you too. Who is that? Look at her. Thank you. So, Carrier is going to move to Mexico, and they're going to make air conditioners, and they're going to sell them to the United States and perhaps other places, and they're going to come across the border. There's going to be no tax. Now, tell me how that helps us, right? Tell me. Does that help? We have got the dumbest trade policies anywhere in the world by a factor of 20. We've got political hacks. We've got people with no understanding of business. Political hacks negotiating the biggest deals in the world. These trade deals are the biggest deals in the world. Deal with China, deal with Japan, deals with Mexico. And the problem with Mexico, China, Japan, all of them, their leaders are too smart for our leaders. Our leaders are major dummies, folks. Major, major dummies. We have rebuilt China. China has treated us so badly. Look at them. In the South China Sea, they're building a tremendous arsenal. They're building an unbelievable military complex. I don't think they got environmental impact statements. Do you think anybody got? Let's check the environment. Let's see if we're hurting a certain kind of fish. I don't think so. You know what happened? On Monday morning, they said, this is a good idea, and they started work on Monday afternoon. That's the way it works. With us, if we wanted to do that, it would take 25 years to get the approvals. Oh, our country, what are we doing to our country? It's so sad. It's so sad. You know, one of the pollsters did, and actually Nikki Haley, when I didn't have her endorsement, and yet I absolutely destroyed her candidate, Marco Rubio. Destroyed. In South Carolina, Governor Nikki Haley. So, I mean, she backed Rubio, and the guy got, like, decimated, right? And he should have won. I mean, you have the governors, but she made a speech which was a little nasty. She was talking about Trump and the supporters, and we have the #1 loyalty in terms of supporters. You know, I love my supporters. I love them. I love the people in this room. And it comes out every single poll, and they know better than anybody. Every single poll said Trump can, like, do anything. They love Trump, and I love them. And the numbers are staggering. 68%, and then it goes into like 92% for pretty much anything. And other people are like 10% and 18%, and people leave them. My people don't leave me. They don't leave me. We have amazing people. We have amazing people. But Nikki Haley said in a speech, when she was like Marco, but she just didn't need the water, and she didn't have to go off camera to get a bottle of water. So therefore, just for that reason, she did a much better job. But she talked about the anger of the movement. And the next debate, they asked me, they said, Mr. Trump, Governor Haley said you're angry. Now, I was supposed to say, oh, no, I'm not. I think the Iran deal is fantastic. I think it's wonderful to have a depleted military. I think it's wonderful to have our vets being treated so horribly. They are treated horribly, okay? I think we're doing just great. I think it's great to have massive deficits and China ripping us off. Probably the greatest theft of in any event, the greatest theft in the history of the world is what China has done to our country. Greatest theft. The greatest theft. The numbers. We rebuilt China. So they said, you're angry. I said, well, see, now I'm supposed to answer the question, no, I'm not angry. And I said, you know, you have to think on your feet pretty quickly, right? I said, actually, you're right, I'm angry. But I'm not an angry person, believe it or not. I'm not an angry person. But when I see the Iran deal, and when I see every single thing that we do, when I see Sergeant Bergdahl, who's a traitor, and we get Sergeant Bergdahl, and they get 5 killers that they've coveted for 9 years that will be back and probably are already back on the battlefield killing people and would like to kill us. That's the way we trade. And by the way, 5 or 6 people were killed looking, wonderful young military people killed looking for Sergeant Bergdahl. So we get Bergdahl, a dirty, rotten traitor, and they get 5 killers that they want and they've coveted for 9 years. Not such a good deal. Do you agree with that? So we don't make good deals. Honestly, whether it's military, whether it's buying drugs. You know, the drug companies and the pharmaceutical companies take care of the people on the stage. They take care of all of the people that you see in Washington. And a friend of mine, a doctor, comes up to me and says, you know, amazingly, Donald, we don't bid. This country, the United States, largest purchaser of drugs, to make you better, largest purchaser of drugs in the world. We don't bid. We pay like market value. We just pay a fortune. If we bid, we'd save hundreds of billions of dollars a year. Think of it. Think of it. So he asked me, he's a doctor, very good doctor, although he hates Obamacare and he's probably going to close up shop because he said he has more accountants than he has nurses, and that's somewhat disturbing. But he said to me, how does that happen? And I immediately do. I said, that means the senators, the congressmen, the people that make the decision, they're all legally taken care of through campaign contributions, through special interests, right? Through special interests, through lobbyists. They're all taken care of. We're going to start bidding, folks. And when they call me up and say, well, you shouldn't do that to the drug companies, I'm going to say, don't worry about it. They can take care of themselves. We're going to save so much money. We're going to save so much money. And we're going to bid on the military. You see it all the time, where the military is ordering equipment that they don't want. And the stuff they want, they don't bid on. Because that company doesn't have political connections into Washington, D.C. Okay? So it's going to stop. It's going to stop, and it's going to stop dead. We're going to start bidding properly. Maybe on drugs, as an example, we do a favored nations. We say, anybody that buys it, you get the lowest price, less 10%, because we buy so much. We'll save $300 billion. $300 billion! Now, with me, that's going to happen. With any of the other people, no, because the lobbyists will take care of them. I know many of the lobbyists. You've been seeing in some of the debates where the room is stacked with lobbyists and special interests, many of whom I know. They're waving to me and laughing as they're booing me. They're out there. They're friends of mine. And they're booing, oh, boo, boo, and they're laughing and waving to me in the room. The room was stacked. 3 times it got stacked. Actually, last night it was pretty good. They sort of liked me. It was a weird deal. Last night, I don't know what happened. What happened? They must be running low on money because they hear that I'm going to be involved and there's no way that they're going to make all this money anymore. They make a fortune. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of all that. And we're going to bid out drugs. And we're going to bid out medical. We're going to bid out everything. And we're going to save so much money. We're going to save Social Security. We're going to save Medicare. We're going to save them, folks. By the way, we're getting rid of Common Core. We're going to have local education. Right? Local education. So, in the world, the top 30, we're 30th. We're number 1 in cost per pupil, and we're 30th. You know, think of this. Thank you. I love you too, darling, wherever you are. We're number 30 in terms of education. We're number one in terms of cost. And number two doesn't exist because it's so much less expensive. So you have Denmark and you have other countries. You have Denmark, you have Sweden, you have Norway, you have China, and you have the United States is number 30. You have countries that you've never even heard of that are beating the United States. Now, this is analogous to something that I talk about. My campaign. I've spent just about the least amount of money, and I'm in first place. It's the exact opposite. Now, and I actually took some ads recently for two reasons. Number one, I don't want to take a chance. And number two, I feel guilty not doing it. You know, I feel like a little guilty. Some of these guys have spent $158 million. $158 million. In New Hampshire, which I won, I was the lowest, and I won. In South Carolina, I was the lowest, and I won. In Nevada, I was the lowest, and I won. And when I say won, I mean won by a landslide, folks. That wasn't even close. We won with evangelicals. We won with the military. We won with the vets. We won with rich people. We won with a little less than rich. We won with great people. We won with amazing people. Because the people in our country are amazing people. No matter where you go, amazing. So I spent the least, and I have the best result. Wouldn't it be great if the United States could do that? Wouldn't it be great? Right? Wouldn't that be great? I'll be opening a very big and beautiful building soon, the old post office on Pennsylvania Avenue. We're ahead of schedule by almost 2 years. Think of that, 2 years. We're ahead of schedule by 2 years, under budget, and the building is going to be far better than anybody even knew. It's going to be one of the great hotels of the world, right on Pennsylvania Avenue. And here's my attitude. You know, if you want a good piece of real estate, always get the post office. You know why? They were there first. They always had the best location. So in Washington, D.C., I have the old post office, which is an incredible building, built in 1888. And it's incredible. Walls that are 4 feet thick of solid granite. The building is one of the most beautiful buildings in the country. It's going to be one of the great hotels of the world. But wouldn't it be really something if we could say that we build our infrastructure and we can build it ahead of schedule and under budget as opposed to costing 5 and 10 times more than it's supposed to cost? Wouldn't that be great? And we're going to do that, folks. We're going to do that. We're going to have people that are really great. You know, we have the greatest business people in the world are in the United States. Carl Icahn endorsed me, one of the great business people. We are going to take these people, and we are going to let them work on our trade deals. And you can go home and relax and we are going to do very well. I know these people, and they may be nice, and some may not be nice, and who cares? The fact is, we have the greatest business people in the world. They want to do it so badly. They love the country, too. They're rough, they're smart, they're this, they got a lot of things going. But I want to tell you, they don't want money. They want no money. But if instead of having a political hack negotiating with Japan and China and India, if we had our greatest business people doing it, wouldn't it be nice overseeing it? That's what's going to happen. You are going to see numbers, I'll tell you what. You are going to see numbers in this country like you've never seen before. You're going to see numbers, and it's going to be rapidly. It's going to be rapidly. And I'll tell you the other thing. We'll end up with better, and remember this, we'll end up with better relationships with those countries than we have right now. Right now, they're ripping us off from A to Z. They laugh at us, they have no respect for us, and they don't like us. We are going to change that around. And our military, we defend everybody. We get very little money to defend. We get peanuts. People are laughing at us. We defend Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, before the oil went down, was making $1 billion a day. We defend them for what? Nothing. Practically nothing. We defend South Korea. Every time you order something, televisions, air conditioners, other than Carrier, which comes right out of Mexico, right? But South Korea, you take a look at that. We have the madman in North Korea. We have 28,000 soldiers on the line. we get practically nothing. We defend Germany, we defend Japan. If we're attacked, Japan doesn't have to do anything. If they're attacked, we have to defend them. We don't have our right thinking caps on. So folks, we're going to change that. And let me tell you, this doesn't sound very conservative, but believe me, it's the most conservative thing you can do. With Carrier, we're going to tell Carrier, congratulations on your new air conditioning plant right smack in the middle of Mexico. And we hope you do really well. But here's the story, folks. You left the United States. You're going to make air conditioners for the United States. Every single time you make an air conditioner and you move that air conditioner across our border, which will now be secured, you're going to pay a 35% tax on that air conditioner. Remember that. So Ford is moving big league, and now they're doubling down. They're moving even more than they said. They're building a $2.5 billion Ford plant, and now they're building more. They're going to have even more, amazingly. In the papers the other day, they're doubling down. They're going even bigger. Because we don't have leadership that talks to Ford. We don't have leadership that says, we want you to stay in Michigan. We want you to stay in other places. We don't care where. It's got to be in the United States. We want you to stay there. We don't have anybody that talks. So they start a $2.5 billion plant. Nobody talks to them, and now they're going out with even more. It doesn't help us. And I will tell you, I'm going to have a very, very serious talk with Congress. If I win, which I think we have a pretty good shot, don't you think? And I'm a free trader, but the trade has to be smart. We can't be stupid traders. Right now, folks, we're not free traders. We're stupid traders. China sends their stuff in no tax. When we send things to China, it's taxed 100%. It's taxed. They tax. I have a friend who's a great manufacturer. He said dealing with China is impossible. He can't get his product in, and when he does, every once in a while, they put a big tariff on it. They call it a tariff because they don't like the word tax. Same thing. They put a big, beautiful tariff on it. And I said, did you tell anybody this? He said, no, I didn't tell anybody. Well, you told me, so I'm going to tell the world. China, it's a one-sided deal, folks, and you can't have that. So I'm a free trader, but it has to be fair trade. It has to be smart trade for us. And believe me, nobody can do this stuff better than me. Nobody. Nobody. It is destroying our country, okay? We cannot continue to do what we're doing. We cannot continue to be the policeman of the entire world and not get reimbursed. We cannot continue to let these companies and these countries come in and just steal our jobs, steal them. Thousands and thousands of factories, thousands and thousands of jobs, millions of jobs just gone. And now you look at the phony stats. We have possibly a 25% unemployment rate. And when you see that 5% rate, don't believe it. Because when you stop looking for a job, you're immediately statistically put on a list and you're considered employed. It's a phony list, and it's a phony number to make the politicians look better. That's all that number is. It's not a real number. And just a couple of more things. And I love you, and I love you for being out here, and I love this crowd. This is amazing. I love it. I love it. So we're getting rid of Common Core. We're bringing our education locally. We are terminating 100%. Repeal Obamacare. Repeal. And replace Obamacare. That will happen, and it will happen quickly because it's a disaster. Do you see what's happening to your rates? You have Obamacare going up 25, 35, 45, 55%. And it's bad. It doesn't even work. And your deductibles are so high, you'll never use them unless it's about over. Unless you go to the most expensive hospital in the world and you stay there for the rest of your life. It's a real failed experiment. So Obamacare, we repeal and replace. Second Amendment, we will protect. We will protect. Boy, you people, you do like your guns, don't you, huh? You do like it. Well, you know, we've had a couple of endorsements. You know who also loves his guns? Willie Robertson, a friend of my son, Don, of Duck Dynasty. And he loves his guns, too. We're going to protect and we're going to cherish our Second Amendment. You know, if the radicalized woman who came over and probably radicalized the guy when they got married, and they end up killing people that they were working with, who threw them baby parties and baby showers. 14 people dead, people in the hospital. If there were guns on the other side of that room, and the bullets were going in the opposite direction, you wouldn't have had the problem that you had. If in Paris, recently in Paris, where you have the toughest gun laws in the world, France and Paris, people just don't have guns. Unless you're the bad guy, you have guns, okay? If in Paris there were guns that could fire in the other direction, you wouldn't have had 130 people killed and many people dying right now in the hospital. You wouldn't have it. So we are going to protect and we are going to take care of and cherish our Second Amendment, okay? It's very important. So here's the story. I told you, I don't want your money. I don't want your money. What I want is your vote. You got to get out there on Tuesday. You've got to, because we're going to do something that's going to be so amazing. We're going to do, and we can't have another 4 years of a Hillary Clinton, or I can't even imagine Bernie Sanders. That's not going to happen. We can't have 4 years of Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, or somebody. We can't do it. We can't do it. The country can't take it. I'll tell you what. If that happens, we're going to bring it back fast. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be incredible. You go another 4 years, you may never be able to bring it back. We can't do it. So I just ask you for one thing. Get out and vote on Tuesday. Get out and vote. And I will promise you this. We will start winning again. We will win at every single level. From the military with ISIS, we will knock them so fast. From the military to trade to healthcare to every single element. So I say, get out there, vote. I love you. Make America great again, folks. Make America great again. Thank you.